All right, yeah, this is part two. I was originally talking about the difference between growth and time versus growth and time. And, you know, I was using Apple as an example and Tesla as an example and the difference between the two. And I wanted the video to end up being a little longer than I expected. So I'm just going to go ahead and finalize the part two of the video. It ended up turning off. I guess I was running my mouth without realizing I was timing out. So I'll go ahead and summarize and finish up the last part and give you a review or an overview on, like I was doing, my assets and my logic or my reason for choosing them behind it all. So now Pacific Biosciences, these guys are into gene sequencing and all, which is I think is going to be one of the top industries for the next 10 years. Might be the top, one of the top, because they're fighting against some good industries. But yeah, anything having to do with gene sequencing, gene therapy, any applications for the technology, sequencing technology, any applications that fall or stem off of sequence technology, I'm interested in. The things that gene sequencing is trying to do is literally sci-fi. I mean, the only thing that can come close to it is maybe cyborgs or robotics or artificial intelligence. That's the only things that can come close to it. But I mean, when you're talking about gene sequencing, the potential is like literally infinite. When you're able to get inside and manipulate different genes of a person, you can awaken genes or dormant genes that were found in us in previous times, even way back in times when we were caves and things like that. And you know that can get kind of deep. Like I said, it falls in the lines of superhuman strength and not catching diseases, living for long years and shit like that. Defeating things like cancer. Yeah, it all ties into medical. And not just medical. It can tie into cosmetic, health and stuff like that. Making you look different and stuff. So and it goes deep. And since the advent of gene sequencing and gene therapy and gene sequencing is just, I give it probably about the next 10 years. I'll probably see exponential growth in that, like I do Apple, for example. Murphy, gas, oil. I'm not really big on gas, oil, especially not at the retail level. But the reason why I do Murphy is because, man, these guys is a beast. I don't think, I think this is one of the most underlooked assets in the oil industry or energy industry. I don't hear nobody talking about Murphy. But as you can see here, it's exactly what I told you I do. I look for this. I call it stair climb. That's what I call it. I don't want that jump. I want that, what I call stair climb. I want that growth, exponential growth over time. If I take this and I bam hit it right there, what's that? About 300. Let's just say 300, right? And I take that 300 all the way down to 360. I mean 36. So that's damn near 10x. If it made it to 360, it's a 10x. So and that's in the oil. Oil's averaging Murphy's average 100% growth per year. Average. Over 10 years. That's that growth you're looking for. And to find that in an oil company is astronomical. I have another oil asset on here as well, but it's nowhere near looks like Murphy. I keep them on my portfolio because they just, I'm trying to catch them at a really low, because I've been with them for a while, and I'll show you. But I'm trying to catch them at a really low point and trying to ride them out for at least 5 years to get some growth out of them. But it's all throwaway growth is what I'm expecting from them. And I got the name of the company right at the tip of my tongue. Yeah, there it is. Magnolia. Magnolia Oil and Gas Corp. This is the same thing, energy stock, but as you can see, it looks nothing like Murphy. Oh, it's got that 10 years. I mean, it's got 5 years. We got about 7 years. That's it. Yeah, 5 years. And out of the 5 years, you don't see that. You see it trades sideways from its inception all the way up to 2020. And then it take a little dip down from, oops, my bad. It takes a dip from 2020 to 2000. 20, to the end of 20, and then it starts to shoot up from 20 to 22. About 500% damn there. So I mean, it would have been a good one if I would have got a good stake in them at 424. I did, and as you can see, my position is at $20. What I'm trying to do, if you look here at the monthly, is catch them, boom, catch them at a really low level and try to see if I can get some more growth out of them before all this oil and crap, slows down. All the hype about the oil and crap slows down. Is what I'm trying to do. And the reason why I'm trying to do that is because they've been up in the 20-30% growth range, and then they drop, right? My position right now is only 11%. So what I'm trying to do is strike them as low, as close as I can get to maybe 14%. I mean $14, somewhere around there, maybe even, 15 if I can. But as you can see, they haven't gone under $21. They've been trading sideways all year. You take them back to 2020. Close you're going to get to 14 that I'm looking for was back in that 2021. And as you can see, if you draw a line from the 2021 down to where it's coming down to right now, if I'm lucky, it'll do a significant drop when everything else drops, like I'm expecting another 30% drop. And then when it does, maybe around 15, 16, maybe even 17 if I can catch it, I try to strike them and get them up around 100 just to ride them up to maybe $100 per share if I can over the next 5 years. If I'm fortunate, as oil and the whole oil industry tries to pull out as much money as they can before everything goes over to, self-sustained energy and renewable energies and, solar and self-driven cars and, hydrogen and EV cars and stuff like that. So that's what I'm doing with them. Ride blockchain, you don't need me to tell you. Blockchain technology, these guys was down really bad, actually, to be totally honest with you. If you look at the month, it just jumped. It just jumped literally in a month. But it was down to $3.37. It's done jumped almost at least 40%, probably 30-40%. I was at like a 20-30%, maybe even 20-30% loss at one point, but you could see just 16% in one day. And this is the point that I'm trying to make when I say to y'all a little earlier that everybody's saying that the market should be going down, down, down. But then I'm seeing shit like this, 16% on Ride blockchain in one day. Now imagine a person who didn't have a foot in the Ride blockchain. They'd be pretty pissed. I don't have the foot in that one, obviously, but I have something to go to my next level of growth. And I don't mind because if you look at the overall picture, when these things are dropping, if this thing went up another 20%, as you can see here, or a 10-year look, if this thing went up another 20%, that's still totally irrelevant to its all-time high. So whether this thing goes up 20% or more and I cop some more of it and then get my foundation, or whether it goes down another 20% more and then I cop some more and get my foundation is totally irrelevant to its expected overall growth. So, all I have to do is do what it's done before and I can sell it out, which I wouldn't do because I expect the growth to start to steady out a little bit more as blockchain becomes more, necessity. And I expect serious growth out of blockchain. I'm invested heavy in blockchain, as if you can't tell. NAPCO security, that's your cybersecurity, stuff like that. I think these guys are into control systems too, your hardware. I used to have a partnership in a control system company, Creative Control Systems Incorporated, back a long time ago, where I sold their systems and stuff like that. So they into that. They're also into other things like independent distribution and installation. Well, same thing, but they're into other things as well. I don't think they're just into just the hardware. Well, that's what it looks like. Yeah, they're just into the hardware. But I believe that the hardware security and then that being attached to online cloud services and stuff like that is going to be real big, especially as, civil war and shit like that, pop off. People are going to want to, protect themselves. So that's important. Plus it grows. And if I take you back to it, you'll see the 10-year growth on it, which is the reason why it's one of my top 10s. See? It's got that growth that you're looking for. And it's almost amazing growth out of a security company. I'm expecting this over 10 years. You expect this to make it to the $18 to 10x, but it's actually made it to damn near 30, which is a 15x damn near, and that's out of a security company. But I believe they got government ties too. So if there's one security company you would invest in, it would definitely be down for exponential long-term growth. Now Matterport, This is people buying up the regular. It's a SPAC company. I guess you can still call it a SPAC company because what they do is they go around, they buy up, regular physical space, which goes back to what I tell you about this world being fake, and all we're doing is creating a simulation within a simulation when we create the metaverse. And all it is the multiverse, which is where we're at, and our spirits are being captivated somewhere else, and we're simply the avatars of our spirits, which is the same thing that we're creating, a mockery within a mockery. We're created the metaverse, just like the multiverse. And in the metaverse, everything that you can do in our multiverse, you can do it better in the metaverse, which is the reason why our black asses are here in the first place, trying to experience something a little bit better. There's things in the spirit that you simply can't do, that you can do here. So as a spirit being, you can't do those things unless you're part physical, which is the reason why I say we're interdimensional beings. So, and the only way to experience these things is if we experience them in this physical realm, even though we're still spiritual beings that go on forever and ever and ever. So, in other words, this is a simulation. We're simply the avatars of our bound spirits. And I talk about it all the time on my channels. And I even talk about Spiral Ed and the gift being given to me, Willie Horn, speaking about Spiral Ed. You can find that on my channels too. But not to get too deep into it, what this metaverse or this particular investment does is this thing. It does what they call spatial Matterport. What they do is they take all matter and they port it. They port it right as exactly what it says. It's amazing how these words are curses if you don't pay attention to them. But they take matter and they port it into the metaverse. Simply meaning everything that exists in this metaverse, down to this home that I'm in right now, is duplicated right over in the metaverse. It's the same thing that already happened to us as spirit beings. So while we're supposed to be over here living out our physical reality, I give it 10 years, you'll walk into rooms, you think everybody's head is down on the phone. That ain't going to be nothing. Everybody's head's going to be locked into their virtual aware, and nobody's going to be here with you, and you be the only dummy that's not wearing virtual aware. I mean, literally, you look at your wife when you walk in the door of the day, and your wife has got virtual wear on, and she can't take it off because she's at work in the middle of a meeting. And she's not just at work in the middle of a meeting. She's actually in the office high-fiving motherfuckers. Because the person on the other side of town, they're all linked into this fake reality where it mimics her office space and it mimics them as well and their emotions as well. So that even when they're high-fiving, it's real over there. Johnny's real over there. Joey's real over there. And the only thing you can do over here is watch your wife for 8 hours a day live that reality over there. And that's when you're going to know what I said a long time before, that this place is the same thing that we're already in. The place that we're creating is a mockery of a creation that was created as a mockery of the great creator of all, which is of energy, nothing of matter, nothing of physical, nothing of this vibration, of this frequency at all, which is the reason why this vibration and frequency is sin. But I won't get into that. Anyway, that's what these guys do. They invest into the metaverse by simply creating everything that is here in this physical world over there in the meta world. And when it's all said and done, the same way we're buying real estate and all, you have billionaires right now over there buying NFTs, real estate and all. They're trying to get the edge on everybody else because that's where everybody's going to be. That's where everybody's going to be over there while robots are over here. Like literally, you think Terminator some lie? No, literally, robots are at your jobs already right now as I speak. In the future, in 10 years from now, robots are going to be trying to take your ass all out, like literally. But yeah, right now, they're at your jobs. In 5 more years, you'll really see them doing every facet of your job. While we're at home, if we do have job, it's called a virtual office job, meaning we're in a virtual reality. They've already introduced the word virtual office more than 20 years ago. They knew this shit before the technology even exists that they would have us here. I was using the word virtual office when I was working for corporate America. When I was working for AT&T, MCI, Sprint, I was using the word virtual office. They was offering me that 10, 15 years ago. Do you want to go work at home? It's called virtual office. We'll hook you up a computer and you'll be able to do all your work at home. You won't have to go to work. It's called virtual office. We'll pay you the same. You'll do the same. You just have to make sure you're logged in and working. No, I can't do no stuff like that because I'll just be smoking weed and not doing my job. I can't do that. I'd rather stay at the office and let the office discipline me. So yeah, they was offering me that 15, 20 years ago. So they already knew where all this would go. So, I mean, literally, and the kids will be doing the same thing. The kids will be in their room, and they don't have to go outside to see Johnny, Joey, and Sue from school. They're inside of a play place, which is the most perfect play place that they can ever imagine, and they get to play with Johnny and Sue in real time. They get to touch them, hold them, and all that shit. It's real. It's about as real as they get. It even ties into their senses. They can feel Johnny's skin, feel Johnny's hair. In less than 10 years, your kids are going to be able to feel Johnny's skin and hair without Johnny being there. And everybody's going to have these virtual glasses on, these virtual eyewear on. And the few people who don't have them on will be the people that's wishing these people didn't have them on. Those people are not here with you anymore. At least not for 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day. The same way they black asses be going to work. Or they play school or, or homeschool. And that's what these guys are doing. And to get an early foot on these guys is what I'm trying to do. They're worth $2.80 right now. I can bet you my life that in 20 years, you'll see a 280 at least. Not 2.80. You're going to see 280 minimum. And I just broke down the difference between what those 2 zeros really mean. They don't just mean 2 zeros. They mean 2 zeros if they jump in 1 year. But they don't mean 2 zeros if they do it over 10 years or 15 or 20 years. They mean something totally different, which is the aspect of this whole video and the reason why I keep pounding it, which is the whole aspect of what I broke down to you in the previous video when I used the dividend calculator. And this is the magic of exponential growth. This is the magic of money. This is what no banker is going to tell you. This is what no financial advisor is going to tell you. Nobody's going to tell you this because they're too busy trying to exponentially grow themselves. But me, I give the game away for free. So here it is. They'll probably give you bits and pieces, but they're not going to tell you what I'm telling you. It's a big difference between that 280 versus a 280 over 2 years, 10 years. It's a total difference. I mean, exponential difference. And I showed it to you. You now know it. So now I'm going to go into the other ones here so I don't get too distracted. And I ain't going to go through all of them because, like I said, it's a lot. But Adobe, very powerful. They'll be at the top 1 to 3 on my list. Look, growth 4.8% in 1 day. Look at that over 10 years. Exactly. The proof is in the pudding. Start out 39. I should have went to 390, right? I went to 663. That's down there 20x. What'd I say? That's my top 3. That's my 3. That's a 20xer. And it did it over 10 years. This is what I do. I use history. I use statistics. I don't even have no calculator. I don't have no pen, no pad. I usually have a pen and pad because I take notes a lot. But this math is easy to me. I can take this, right, and it should be easy for anybody. But I can take that 37, take you back to that 37, and then bring you up to that 630. And then bring you back down to that 348. Now, I don't think that's going to go to 3,000. Nah, I don't expect that. I don't expect this to 20x again because this is already at 349, 348. And there's a big difference in the law of numbers when you talk about exponential growth. It's a lot harder growing 348 than it is growing $43 or $37. Trust me. Just like it's a lot harder getting from a billion to a trillion than it is from a million to a billion or 100,000 to a million. So there's, it's laws with these numbers, and I don't expect it to do a 20x. Even if it did an 8x, I would be happy. If it did a 9x, I would be happy. If it did a 5x, I would be happy. The objective is over 10 years, because remember what I told you, that 5x does not mean 5x. It only means 5x if you're talking 2, 3 years or whatever. It does not mean 5x when you're talking over 10 years. We're talking exponential growth. And just so you know, for example, let's say I put $10 in, only $10 in. No, let's say I do 100. I put 100 into something, and it grows. Let's say it doubles every year. 100 goes to 200 for the first year. That's the first year. 200 goes to 400 for the second year. For the third year, 400 goes to 8. 8 goes to 16. 16 goes to 32. 32 goes to 64. 64 goes to, 128? Oh, am I going moving too fast? Or 12.8, whatever. Anyway, 12.8 goes to 256 or